Hello and welcome to my Fallout 4 automatic weapon tier list. So we're going to be covering the first set of 7 weapons of 14 of the automatic weapons in the game that are affected by Commando. The point of this video is to kind of go over each weapon, what its strengths and weaknesses are, if it fits within the mid to late game, which is probably one of the more important questions, because if something's not good in the mid or late game, it's basically just useless, because as you level up and hit the mid game, it'll fall off and you'll need to replace it with something else. So starting with one of the more iconic weapons in the game, the 10mm pistol. This is actually an auto pistol. Just kind of get a feel for it, just like shoot a few rounds at the wall here. Kind of get a feel for its fire rate. Its accuracy isn't bad. This is a C tier weapon. So in the beginning of the game, it's decent, but in the late game and especially the mid game, you're going to start to notice it falls off. So its damage just really isn't there unless you get like an amazing legendary variant, like the AoE bullet explode legendary or something like that. The big problem with this weapon is it has like medium range, which is fine, but its damage just isn't there as an automatic weapon. So if we actually look at the stats here, I have Commando 3. This does 35 damage a shot for a DPS of 448, which seems decent. But when you compare it to Spray and Pray, which is a very easy weapon to acquire as long as you have like 1,000 caps, this Spray and Pray drastically out DPSs it, and it has like the AoE effect, so you can for sure know that you're getting like a crazy, weapon. Spray and Pray is an amazing weapon, so I highly recommend running it. But I would say the 10mm is just it's just C tier. It falls off in the mid game. It's just not that good. Alright, pipe rifle, D tier, only really useful in the middle, like in the beginning of the game. Once you approach mid game, it just really starts to fall off. Its damage is much worse than the 10mm, as you can see here. And this is with the max damage mod added. Each weapon has its max damage mod for automatic weapons, so you can get a feel for the damage differences. So this does 25 damage a shot. It shoots 3 8-rounds, which are pretty cheap and easy to find, but it just doesn't do that good of damage. So once you hit the mid game, you'll notice this thing taking forever to kill things, and then once you hit the end game, this thing is just not worth it. So definite D tier. Next we have the Submachine Gun. In this case I'm using Spray and Pray, but I'm going to rate just the Submachine Gun. So the Submachine Gun, I would say, is C+ tier. It has decent damage and okay range. It does fall off in the late game, but in the mid game it can be okay to run. Its damage is kind of there. If you run Spray and Pray, that's viable throughout the entire game, especially if you build your character around it. To actually show you a Spray and Pray build, you actually want to run Demolition Expert. This will scale the damage and the AoE of Spray and Pray. And then as you scale it, you can get up to double damage, which is pretty crazy. So the AoE effect will also deal increased damage, and then you just run Commando. And then right now, I'm going to start speccing into Bloody Mess, so that is the Submachine Gun, so C+ tier. Spray and Pray is like A tier, though. It's viable. Next we have the Assault Rifle. So the Assault Rifle is pretty decent. I would say this is like a solid B tier. It has good recoil. It's pretty easy to control. It's pretty easy to stay on target. It has good range. It has some of the best range of the SMGs, especially compared to the other ones I just went over. Its damage is a little bit higher than the Submachine Gun, so I'd say it's like a solid B tier. It's not bad. Alright, next we have the Automatic Combat Rifle. So this weapon does even more damage than the Assault Rifle. I would say this is a solid B+ tier. It's a little bit better, and it has a little bit better range. Or no, it actually doesn't have better range, but it has better damage. Its range can be comparable, but I think the Assault Rifle does have it on range, actually. You should be able to have better range with the Assault Rifle. But the damage is better, and you want to be using SMGs at around, close to medium range, which is 100 units, so the range is fine. You wouldn't want to use, an automatic weapon at range. It's not going to really be too consistent or good anyways. Alright, so it's definitely B+ tier for the Combat Rifle, automatic version. Next we have the Automatic Combat Shotgun. So this has pretty decent base damage. So if we actually look at its base damage, right now I'm doing 120 damage per shot with Commando 3, and this is with no mods that affect weapons. So I actually uninstalled any mod that affects weapons. I had one rebalance mod, but I removed it for these videos. So this decent base damage. You can get this up to 150 pretty easily. Plus headshot bonuses, and the range isn't bad. For an automatic weapon, this brings you some variety. I would say this is B+ tier as well. It's definitely better than the assault rifle, and it's about on par with the automatic combat rifle. Alright, next we have the automatic railway rifle. So this is a weirder one. This one actually just straight up feels like a single shot rifle. So here's its automatic mode. I'm gonna hold in the left mouse. This is it being automatic. You cannot click to increase its fire rate, but this is an automatic weapon. This is an interesting weapon. I'm going to put this at B+ tier as well. If you actually look at its stats, right now I'm hitting for 160 at Commando 3, so this is actually quite a lot of damage for an automatic weapon. The fire rate is 12, so it's very slow, but you can increase its range and accuracy. Right now I'm using the short barrel, but there is a long one that increases the range quite a bit. So it's an automatic weapon, so it's not bad at all. So you can use it like at range. You know, you can kind of peek and like snipe with it, so it's actually pretty good for an automatic weapon. This feels more like a single shot rifle, and it has good damage, good range. It can really extend your reach, so you can have like an alternate weapon. So like you could have like your main SMG, maybe it's like spray and pray, and then for range, if you want to like snipe, you could bring this and just kind of poke enemies at range and, you know, get some headshots, get some easy kills, maybe go for some sneak attacks. But yeah, I would say the railway rifle is B+ for sure. But that pretty much wraps up this first half. I'm going to be going over the second half pretty soon. Thanks for checking this out, and I'll see you then.